All right, welcome to Trendy Options. It is Wednesday, 12/5/2018. And just like the mornings, we're going to go ahead and get started here with our futures. And so the first thing I want to talk about is the ES and just kind of look and see overall what's going on. We are going into tomorrow for Thursday. So only two more trading days left, unfortunately. And then we have to get on with our weekends. So this week was very, very interesting. And first thing I want to talk about is we came right up into the weekly target. If you look back at our blueprints we sent out on Sunday night, uh, price came right up into the weekly target here. And this was associated with some supply. And what threw you off psychologically and for myself there for a little bit was finding out that we were in a rally and we gapped up into supply. Okay, and what happens in supply? We sell off. Okay, and another clue was right here. We came into the trendy monthly edge, okay, which is associated with supply, just not to the tick. So it gives us more of a roundabout number and gives us a warning when price is below our monthly edge and headed up, we want to be concerned. Okay, now typically we get a nice gradual move into this and we are prepared to start to become short in our portfolios. Okay, now we got the gap up and we opened up above here, and we had not seen that in quite some time. And so a little bit exuberance caused a little bit of positioning in the portfolio to the long side. Now, we're not saying that that's not going to work out. Okay, but what they did was they came right back and kind of slammed it in your face if you decided to buy calls up here around the 2800 level. Now, it only took two trading days to actually hit my upper weekly target and my lower weekly target to the tick. And as you can see, price has moved its way back down into here. This is going to be, if you notice here on our screen, we have this red edge, the midline, came right into here. This is going to be our support, so we really want to see 2696 hold. You will see a dotted red line on my screen, and this runs all the way up here. This is just a downtrending line. I call it the DTL. So this could add as some resistance right here. A lot of lines on the chart. If you're in the room, then you understand what all these lines are about. If you've watched the lessons channel in Discord, then you would know that these are trendy edges on here, the yellow and the red and so forth. ES is coming into a little bit of resistance. If we can hold above the 27.18, 27.22 level, we're looking for a move back into 27.31, and value above there brings us into our weekly edge here at 27.49. Okay. Now, one thing I want to point out to you on a smaller candle here on the 4 hour, we don't have any supply when we look over to the left. Not necessarily. Okay. Resistance comes in around 2767 or so. Okay. But overall, still looking for an attempt up here at 2800. So tonight, some important things to think about is the levels that I just spoke about. The mid coming in here around, we need 2722 or so. Okay, anything below 2718, I want to see if our 2699, 2698 can hold. This could be a nice short into T1 here at 2701. And value behind under here, we're looking for T2 at 2679 and T3 finally at 2642. Up above 2722 or so, again looking for 2731, 2749, and then ultimately maybe 2767. Now we only have 2 more days and then we'll have a whole new blueprint going into next week, okay? All right, let's get over to some of the box trades. Okay, now these box trades are going to be a little bit different. I'm going to go over those with you. And the first one that I want to bring to your attention is UNP. Okay, we're going to look at this from the daily. So I can just give you some targets and kind of talk through this with you so that you understand the rationale going into tomorrow's trade. Now we came up into overall the 76.4. What do we know about the 76.4? Is it acts as an imposter level, meaning during an uptrend at the 76.4, you'll see a pullback and it's come right into our weekly and monthly edge, which are lined up perfectly here. So this is basically looking at kind of my line in the sand here at 152.7, 152.7. So if we can get a move down, I'm looking for T1 at 150.92. Now here's the disclaimer on this, on a short. We have some demand right here. We have a rally-based rally. It came back to test that, okay, on Tuesday. Perfect test of that. Now we want to see if it can hold. If this uptrend continues, we should get a second attempt into the 76.4. And when we get to the 76.4, we're looking for a higher high. We know that our probabilities above here are 85% that we'll touch T3 at 162.22. So what does this look like? We've come back. We've tested some demand right in this area. It's moving up. If it can stay above the line in sand I mentioned, we're looking for a T1 here of 156.65. 156.65. Value above here, so anyone that may be holding multiple contracts can scale here. And then I wouldn't want to see price fall back 50% of this rally into T1. I would be out of my position here. If you can hold value above T1, looking for a move back into the 76.4. If you look over here, this candle doesn't mean much, okay? We can move up just as fast as this candle came down. If we can hold value above this pivot high here, looking for T2 at 159.83, ultimately 162.22. Nice setup here, looking for a swing trade into this name a few weeks out if you like. But the box trade, I'm setting it up as a line in the sand. Okay, we really are just sitting here at the support, and if price breaks down again, you have the targets here: 150.92, 147.77, and T3 here at 144.23. Basically, what we're saying is this is going to be an over/under of the price that I gave you, looking at 152.7, 152.7 tomorrow. All right, our next name that we're looking at is going to be Meli, M-E-L-I. Now these can be expensive, but here's the thing. I don't plan on using all the money, so I just want to talk about that just for a second. So if it costs me $1,000, let's just say $1,500 for a call, I don't plan on losing $1,500. So if I typically am okay with losing, let's just say $700, then I will not let $1,500 go to zero. I get out of the trade for negative $700. Okay. Now, during these volatile times, I will say I want to go smaller. So maybe what I'm shooting for here, for example, if I'm going to the upside, I might buy strikes at the T2 level. If I'm shooting for the downside, maybe I buy strikes at the T2 level. Okay. If I got a little bit heavier pockets, maybe I buy at the money and I shoot for T1 to the upside or downside. Enough of that. So here, MELI, this was my chart to begin with. We are looking at a day candle. Okay. And as you can see, it worked really nicely. Price broke out of here. This was the trade earlier. We had the alert set. You take your calls to the upside. We got right into T2 here. Look for a pullback. What was resistance should turn into support. Okay. Now this was a huge rally. I just want to bring that up here. Okay, this was a huge rally. It came back to test that resistance. Maybe it turns into support. Okay, so what we're looking here, please remember this number, 352 is my line in the sand. Okay, downside targets, if we break down below this, I'm looking for T1 at 344.55, T2 at 336.68, and ultimately T3 for 321.84. Now, in a day, do I expect these? So on a box trade, the idea behind it, if you watch the video, we're looking for quick gainers, okay? Now, traders want to take swing trades. I get that, okay? But let's just hypothetically speak here. How do we approach a box trade is up to you. I'm not a financial advisor, but find a way that works best for you. So in this scenario that I will show you, let's say that we take 3 contracts, okay? 3 contracts to the upside. If the box or the line in the sand works for you, or the over under just simply means if it's over that, we're looking to take calls. If we're under that, we're looking to take uh, puts. And depending on your timing, you might want to say to yourself, hey, if we're over the line for, let's say, 20 minutes, I'll take the calls. If we're under for 20 minutes, I'll take the puts. It's up to you. As an aggressive box trader, I can take it right away. Okay, if price comes down to the line, we're in an uptrend, I wake up and the futures are up, I can take the trade to the upside. If I wake up, we're under the LIS and the ES, the trend is down, I'm looking to go short. So for tomorrow, depending on what the futures are going to do, that really sets me up for an idea of how I want to take a trade. Now, from up and to the left, I don't see much for supply right now, okay? It did come over here and test some supply right in here, okay? And that's why it backed off. It did come back and test what was resistance. Maybe it turns into support. If we take 3 contracts in this name and scale at T1 with 2, then we have ridden this from 354 up to 362. It's safe to say that you've made enough money to hold one in case price wants to base and break up into T2, then you could have your last piece where you want to get out of your trade there. Same thing here. You can ride this down into T1, 2 contracts, sell 2 or scale 2, hold 1, look for a bounce the next day. This is kind of how it works, into about 50% of that move, and then the next day we come down into T2. Or you could just sell all of them, like most members. They seem to be going cash almost every single night, but that's up to you. Okay, again, this is just my opinion and what I'm kind of looking at here. So again, Melly, looking at testing what was resistance, see if it turns into support. We're looking at the LIS, or line in the sand, at 352. Downside targets 344.55, 336.90. A break of this could bring us to 322. Upside targets 361.90, 372, and 386. Now the next one here, I have KSS. KSS. This one's also interesting. I love this. Coles was on an absolute tear, and then all of a sudden, it's not. Okay? Stocks go up and stocks go down, right? So, what are the immediate things that I notice? Well, KSS has come into a weekly and a monthly support. Weekly and monthly support. Do you see how all these yellow lines are kind of lining up with each other? It almost looks like inside, right? And then you see the monthly here, the monthly mid, the monthly high. Price is sitting right here. Now, I love when I notice that my edges, that price is sitting where we have weekly and monthly. Usually that's really strong. So what does that tell me? Well, we should be looking at some nice support here. It might take a little while for buyers to step in, but I like this trade to the upside. If I wake up, things are looking groovy, then I'm looking for a trade to the upside. However, if we break down below, okay, we do have a little bit of demand in here, and so we're in demand. This trade might take a little bit to on a swing trade to take its course, but for right now, we do have it in demand. It is supported by 2 lines. Looking for an upside target in KSS of 69.90. Let's say 66.70 first, 69.90 the second, and the third time 74.70. Okay, we do have a dividend coming up on December the 11th. Okay, downside targets 61.06 and 55.75. So let me paint this for you really quick here. The bigger picture is this. Okay, and we do have some demand that it came into. Now I want to show you this. Look at all this demand. Okay, what does demand mean really at the end of the day? Basically means a bunch of green candles. It means a lot of people wanted to buy price right here, right? You could see that. So you could see price came into this demand. Okay, now price is holding. It's being held by the monthly and the weekly. I'm biased to the upside here, okay? But I'm also happy to go short here if it cannot hold this level anymore, okay? And as you can see, if you look across here, we have a lot of this going on. Now, another way to look at this, okay, is I like to draw a box and just kind of sharing with you a box here. You see this channel? Once it broke out of here, price never came back to test that channel. Typically, it likes to do that. Dipped right in here into demand and has pushed up. So a couple reasons, just want to show you those. Targets again, T1 69.90, T2 74.70, and again there's a closer target of 66. Okay, to the downside, T1 61, T2 55.75. We don't have earnings coming up until roughly, I think it's March. Yep, March 5th. Okay, that's KSS. And one more on here, Amazon. Amazon is the big money maker. Okay, this thing is moving. So we're talking $100, $80 a day, $50 a day. They're just really panning out. Now, I went over a one-on-one with a buddy and we talked about Amazon. Okay, we talked about Amazon and we talked about what was the gameplay going into this weekend. Well, just like the ES chart, we had some supply sitting over here. Amazon gapped up into this supply and it sold off. Okay, I mean, it's only been down one day. Okay, however, there was some demand here. Doesn't mean that the stock needs to keep going down. So let's talk about that real quick. Line in the sand, 1676.75. Upside targets, 1695, 1712, 1734. To the downside, 1649 and 1625. Okay. Let's talk about the edges really quick. And I want to show you this. I'm going to show this on a smaller time frame, so I kind of give you this. I'm going to break this down for you really quick. We're going to go to a 4-hour candle, and then we're going to come down here to a 2-hour candle. Okay. And then I'm going to bring it down to a 1-hour candle. And there we go. Now, looking at it from here, we have an over under again, 1676. Right above here, we have some supply. 1695 by 1712 can look to get short here if it's a pop and drop kind of day. And if we can't even make it up there and we break these, so basically what you're looking at is the weekly, and then you have the LIS, which is the cash close for equities. Okay, these two, if it just kind of stays in here, I wouldn't do anything, me personally. If it breaks down below the LIS, this kind of gives you a little bit of waiting period. Then this turns into resistance, looking for a move into 1649. And then we actually have some demand over here at 1625. Ultimately, on the downside, 1625 is my target. To the upside, looking for this to be resistance. And so therefore, I'm a over under. Even if I took the trade to the upside, could scale for a few bucks here at 16.95. And if it builds value in the box, then we shoot for the back of the box. And if we build value above that box, we shoot for 734. Does that make sense? But I'm just going to draw it out just really quick so you understand. On an upside, we get above here. We want to look for a base, look for it to move into this target. Okay. If it starts to sell off, look for it to break about 23.6% of that. If not, and we build value above here, then we look to break into the back of the box. I'd be pretty much done with this trade unless Amazon, being Amazon, takes over and wants to run out of here a lot quicker. Okay. To the downside, if price does fall here, but the cash close catches it and it just kind of goes sideways, it's going to be one of those where we just wait. And if it decides to break, take the short into T1. You should see a bounce here. Look for supply. And if we fall even further, again, coming into demand, which is over here somewhere, and looking for this to be our final out. That's 1625. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, that's not a huge move for Amazon, but still a nice money maker either way to the upside and downside. These are the 4 charts that I decided to go with tomorrow. They've all come around their edges, But depending on, let's just talk about this really quick, depending on how the markets open or don't open, okay, maybe this is accurate here, down 43 points. I think this is accurate. Wow. Okay. So anything that we were thinking about, depending on how this thing moves when we open up, is going to be very interesting here. So we're coming down into the edge. Now I want to mind you, there was a huge purchase of puts back in the day on, look at that, coming right into the edge here. Coming down into tomorrow, or actually this Friday's expiration. So I'll be interested to see what the market wants to do. Not sure what's going on, but hey, that's probably one of the biggest gap downs I've seen in a while, so this should be interesting. But anyways, those are the names we're looking at, and we will assess first thing in the morning. Thanks again.